Hello everyone, I'm Adela from Pretoria in South Africa, and this is the Yarn Creations podcast. This is a very short section. I just want to talk about my sweater that I've finished. It's the Cozy Classic Raglan sweater by Jessie Maed. That's a pattern I used for stitch counts and not actually for anything else. So I can't say that I've knitted the pattern. It is a very good pattern. It's very clear and very well, everything is very well explained. And even if you're a beginner knitter, you will find the pattern very helpful. There's different discount vouchers, codes that you can use for different price ranges on the pattern. I know it's difficult for our South African rand isn't very strong, so we do pay a lot of rands for $1. So there is an opportunity for you to use a discount code to pay a little less than the full price on the pattern. That I think is very kind of Jessie to keep in consideration that people all over the world want to knit the pattern, and you're not, everyone isn't in the same position to pay the full price. And we in South Africa are particularly in a difficult spot when we have to buy patterns on Ravelry or wherever you buy your patterns. I think I do buy a lot of patterns, but I do think more carefully before buying a pattern if I'm really going to use it. And if there's a discount code, or if it's a new release and there's a discount code, I sometimes make use of that discount code. So let's talk about my sweater. I'm really very happy with how it fits me. I've washed it, and it really does fit very nicely. It washed and blocked out. I don't block my sweaters aggressively. I just pinned the ribbing at the bottom a little bit so that it doesn't pull in. And I've actually made notes because I always feel that I'm a little bit rushed because I don't want to talk too slowly, and I don't want to and and a lot, and then I try to talk faster and then I forget some of the details of what I'm busy with. So I did make notes. So let's start at the top. I knitted about 6 or 6.5 centimeters of ribbing, and I cast it on, I think, I didn't write that down. I think I mentioned it in the very first episode where I showed this, where I'm busy with this. I cast it on 14 stitches less than for the size I wanted, or the all over stitch pattern that I wanted of when before starting with the raglan increases. So I started with 98 stitches in a 2x2 ribbing on 3.5 millimeter needles, and then I knitted the ribbing about 6.5 centimeters, and then I just increased gradually all around the 14 extra stitches I needed for the size I wanted to knit. And then I started the raglan increases, and as I said previously, I didn't do the raglan increases as in the pattern. I really like this raglan increase. It's we learned from Julie Knits in Paris, when I did a workshop with her at the Bergen Strikker Festival in Norway in 2019. And the whole workshop was about sweater construction, how to knit a sweater so that it fits your needs and your body type. And this was one of the increases we learned from her. So you will have one stitch in the middle in which you do your 2-stitch increase every time. So it's a knit, yarn over knit in the middle stitch. So you will have to shift your stitch marker in your second row. When you don't do the raglan increase, you will have to shift your marker so that it is before that middle stitch where you do your increase, in which you do your increase. So I just did that increases, and I just added some stripes. I did show you the yarn before. I used a 2-ply DK, merino 2-ply DK superwash. It was hand dyed by Samantha of Dye House Yarns. Unfortunately, she doesn't dye anymore. Maybe in the future, hopefully someday again. But I was lucky enough to buy some of this 2-ply DK from her before she stopped. But I know that she did give all her leftover yarn from her shop to Naturalярns, and I'm sure there is some left. I did buy a few extra skeins because I'm so in love with the color and the base that I did. Well, I thought that maybe I might need it for the sweater, but I can definitely knit another blue sweater with this specific base from Dye House Yarns. I know they have gorgeous, or they had some gorgeous colors left. And I also know that Arthur Bales in Johannesburg have some Dye House Yarns. Just ask them if you can't find it. It is somewhere in that little small dear little shop of them. So what else? Okay, so I did raglan increases until I had the length that I wanted. I didn't want it too tight underneath my arm. I don't really like that because I like to wear a loose fitting t-shirt underneath. So I don't like it when it's too tight underneath my arms. I decided to do the stripe pattern exactly in the same way as in the body, but I did do more rows of the blue. And there is a little bit of color pooling, but I'm not concerned about that. It doesn't bother me. I did had to fade in a second skein. I divided them evenly for the body and the 2 sleeves, and I did had to fade in the second skein. But when I was knitting this part of my second sleeve, I was having a very nice long chat with a friend on a WhatsApp call, and I totally forgot to fade in the second skein. So I remembered when I had a teeny tiny little bit left of the first skein. So I just decided I'm not going to rip back just for that. It's a hand dyed sweater. It's a hand knitted and a handmade sweater. And I'm not that concerned about that. Everything should be perfect and all the color placement should be just right and just perfect. It's not I think that is what sets you apart from a shop bought sweater, is that it's unique and it's knitted your way, and there is differences in the yarn colors or whatever is happening with a hand dyed yarn, or even if you are using commercially dyed yarn or commercially factured yarns. If there's a difference in the dye lot, just fade it in, and it's okay. It really is okay. um, I just want to say that before I forget, that if you've never knitted a sweater, or if you don't knit sweaters that often, you are really missing out. Or crochet, even crochet. I'm thinking very hard of crocheting myself a granny stripe kind of sweater, raglan sweater, or open cardigan. I'm really thinking of doing something like that somewhere in the future. I've got lovely yarns that I think will work well for a sweater like that. Just do it. It's the feeling of accomplishment when you are wearing your own hand knitted or hand crocheted sweater, and wearing that wool next to your skin is or on your body, is just a feeling that I think you have to experience it, the whole process, the whole journey of creating your own sweater and changing a pattern so that it fits your needs and your body type. And I try my sweater while I'm knitting it. I'm trying it on frequently to see if it fits me, if it's where I want it to be, if I want to knit a few rows extra, and then I fit it again. Is it the way I wanted it? Yeah. Is it comfortable enough? Is it long enough? Is it wide enough, loose enough? Is there enough positive ease? All that kind of things. And if it's not exactly how you want it, just frock back a little bit. It's not that bad. It's really worth it at the end to just frock what you're not happy with, and then do something differently, or add a few stitches, or add a few increases. It's really worth it. And the feeling and wearing that sweater, and know that nobody else will you won't see anybody else anywhere wearing the same sweater as you are. And I'm all dressed up because we are actually in level 4 lockdown at the moment again. Things are not going so well here in South Africa, but I'm all dressed up and ready to go, quickly go out and do some grocery shopping, some much needed grocery shopping. I make a list, and it grows and grows, and then once a week I just have to go and buy. There is some stuff that I really need. I actually had to go to the hairdresser for a haircut, and I just couldn't get myself to go to a hairdresser, so I gave myself a haircut this morning once again. I just made a ponytail at the back and cut off about 2 centimeters. And now I'm fixed for the next 6 weeks, and then I really hope that by that time everything will have settled down again a little bit. But in the meantime, I think I'm not feeling comfortable. Everything is open to keep the economy going, but I just don't feel comfortable going to a hairdresser at the moment. So that was a bit off topic, because I'm actually making this episode to talk about my sweater. Okay, what else? Okay, the body I did in 4.25 needles. I know it's not a size that's readily available, but I love knitting my cardigans and sweaters with tulip bamboo needles. They are very kind to my hands, and I just like the way they are very, very lightweight. It's a very lightweighted needle, and it's got a little bit of a grip. I like that the bamboo needles have a little bit more grip when I'm knitting, especially with like a buttery soft yarn like the superwash merino. and they do have a 4.25 millimeter needle tips, and so I started with a 4.5, as I said in a few episodes back, and then the gauge was just a little bit too loose. I was concerned when I wash and block the sweater that it will be too heavy and it will maybe stretch out a lot. So I ripped back, right back to the ribbing and the neck ribbing, and I started over with the 4.25 needles. And then I did my usual increases in the sides. Sorry, I didn't steam it, I just washed it, and I think it made a little crease from lying flat. So I did the increases, I think every, I don't know, I didn't even write that down, um, 12 to 14 rows, I think. It all depends on how many stitches you want to increase, how many stitches you want for around your waist and at the very end of your sweater. So you can work out if you want to increase from, say, a size medium to a size large, or size 3 to size 4, then you can just work out how many stitches you will need to increase from this size to the next size. And then you just divide it between your sides and you do your increases. It doesn't matter if you do a make one right and make one left, or make one left and make one right. So the increases will lie that way or that way, and it doesn't matter. I just play around with, sometimes I do it this way and sometimes that way. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so I told you that I did knit. I wanted more of this blue, so I used it in the sleeves, because I like my sleeves long enough. I've got long arms, and this sleeves really flew off my needles. I don't know why. I know it was today's Thursday, and it was last Friday that I did my previous episode, and then I showed you that I had to knit the sleeves, and I knit both sleeves in less than a week. That's really a record time for me. I think it's maybe because it's a heavier weight yarn, bigger size needles, and the stripes, of course. So you had goals, goal, knit to up to here. I'm going to knit up to here, and then I'll go and do something else. So I watched something on a series on Netflix the other night, and I knitted. I finished my second sleeve 12 o'clock that night. I can just go, that's how I feel I really accomplish something, is just binge watch a series and just knit. Don't think about it, just knit. And if it's deep into the night, that's okay for me. I really don't mind, because I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to go to work the next morning. And okay, that's more or less everything. I just love this blue. Just going to try and show you. And then I did my 2x2 ribbing at the bottom. I did with a 3.75 millimeter needles, because I didn't want it to pull in too much. And I did a split hem, as I showed you last. When I pick up for the back ribbing, I pick up 2 extra stitches, and I also reinforced it with the yarn that I have to work, my yarn end that I have to work in. I just try and work it in there so that I can reinforce it some more. So the back ribbing is a little bit longer. and it's just the right length, yeah, that I feel comfortable with. I've got tracksuit pants on, forgive that. And the sleeves are, okay, let me just, oh, there you are again. The sleeves are, I'm happy with the length of the sleeves. I think there's a few ends after the washing that I just have to put back. I forgot I wanted to do that before I did this episode. So I just have to pull them back inside and just fluff them up a little bit so that they don't get come through again. So there's sometimes a few that I forget when I cut the ends off. I don't cut them too short, and then I fluff them up a little bit. I separate all the plies and I fluff them up a little bit so that they don't come through. But I think I forgot to do it with those two. So I will just have to tend to that. But my sleeves are the perfect length. My test for knowing if my sleeves are long enough is when I get into my car and I drive, and I'm driving and my sleeves pull up. I'm totally unhappy. So when I'm knitting my sleeves, this is my test to see if my sleeves are long enough. Because if you let your arms hang down, they are more, there's ample length. You can see there's ample length when I let my arms hang down. But the moment you do this and it pulls up and the sleeves are, oh, it bothers me so much. I just can't tell you how much that bothers me. So I think for me to have, this is my ultimate test. So for me to have full coverage of my arm when I'm stretched in front of me or driving, it must come, a little bit over my hand. So when I'm in the house and have to do something in the house, I can just do this. It's fine. I don't mind doing this. And on my Instagram, I've posted the sweater on my Instagram, and I realized that I really do have a thing for blue stripes. This is my swatch. I only buy swatch watches. I just love them, and I love these kind of wristbands because it's hard wearing and it doesn't damage. And I really think I've got a thing for, I think I should take a picture like this and actually put it on Instagram for swatch. And they've got a hashtag, time is what you make of it. And this is so appropriate because time, if you should add all the hours that you need to knit a sweater like this, I think you will be shocked. It's quite a few. You don't realize it because you knit the sweater over a time of a month and you do other whips in between. So I think this is so appropriate that I believe that you should enjoy the journey of knitting a sweater like this or whatever you are crafting. So it's so appropriate that time is really what you make of it. And especially now in the times that we are going through, this is really my my sanity. And to have a sweater that I can wear, even just if I go and sit outside in the garden or just quickly go out for groceries and I'm all dressed up in my sweater. I will even wear this in the house because, as I mentioned before, my house can get cold, and I really need sweaters like this to wear in the house. So I will definitely knit more. And now that I know that this size and this construction works well for me, I will definitely knit more of them. But for now, I'm going to focus on 1 or 2 whips. I desperately want to cast on a new sweater pattern, but I'm really going to focus on some whips. But I'm not going to show you that now. All that I just want to quickly think if I mentioned everything. Just one other thing that I can maybe mention is when I cast off, I don't do any special cast off. I like to cast off in the ribbing pattern, and I just go up to my the needle size that I used for the body. In this case was a 4.25. I just take that needle again and I do the cast off. So then it's got it's stretchy enough, but it won't stretch out that much that it will become too loose on my arm. So there's still enough structure, but it's stretchy enough so that it doesn't bother me. And the same at the bottom. So it keeps everything a little, it gives a little stability, still gives stability without being too tight. I can sometimes find, in my opinion, when I'm doing it, that a stretchy bind off can be too stretchy, and then some of the stability, it doesn't give the stability that you need sometimes for cast off, especially in sweaters. Okay, so I really think that's everything. If there's anything else that you would like to ask or that's not clear, please ask me in the comments and I will get back to you soon on that. The only other thing I'm quickly going to show is that I've finished the first pink rose sock. It's a test knit I'm doing for Norma from Bigger Than Life Knits. And as I said, it's got this beautiful cuff, the beautiful lace pattern. And then you've got the ribbing that keeps the sock where it's supposed to be. So it's actually a shorty sock. And then I did the heel flap and the heel turn in a contrasting color, as well as the toe. And it's got this beautiful little pull bump pattern. I love that. It's just so delicate, and I think the overall the yarn is actually a little bit darker than it's showing, but the overall design, I'm just in love with it. I think everything is just working perfectly together, and this is it's really a nice design, and it fits me very nicely. So that is all that I'm going to share with you today, and that was once again my half hour. I can't believe I've talked so much, and mostly about the sweater, but I just wanted to share the overall details with you, and I hope that you will really consider knitting more sweaters and cardigans with cotton or wool, as long as it's a natural fiber if you can. I did knit 1 or 2 sweaters with a cotton acrylic mixture that I love very much. It knitted, it keeps, it did work up very well, but my preferred yarn is definitely in a natural base. I just think that merino or 100% merino or cotton controls your body temperature better. Acrylic, I find that acrylic sweater can cause you to sweat to over, I don't know, it's just that as if your body is not controlling its temperature the correct way, because you are cold, so you are putting on the sweater, and if it's acrylic, um, it doesn't breathe. I think that's the whole problem. Acrylic yarn doesn't breathe like natural fibers, and that can cause you to at the same time be cold and sweat. If I can, I don't know if it's a correct term to use, but I've really experienced that, and since I've started just wearing my natural fiber sweaters, I really don't experience that at all. And because I've got a underactive thyroid, that doesn't help at all with controlling body temperatures. So that's it for today. I've seen that I've got a few new subscribers, and that makes me really, really very happy, and I'm very excited. And I hope that you will find something here that you like, and I hope that you will have a crafty week in front of you. Bye.